Welcome everyone. It is Sandra Alexei here today, and it is April the 1st, okay? I'm with Game Changer, and it's the new model of relationships. You can purchase it up top. You can see where you can get it. And today we have an exciting interview to do. If you go under Show Me, you'll see my website, okay? Because I do spiritual and business coaching and counseling, and I'm an astrologer and a numerologist. There I have my website. What I do want to do is I want to let you know is that I would really appreciate it if you would share, if you would comment. And if you comment once a month, I choose a name and I do a mini reading. And if you would subscribe, okay, and it's always good. We have Peter, and he is quite the character. So we're going to have a wonderful time today, being it's Good Friday tomorrow. So we're going to kind of look at some spiritual aspects around Easter. So Peter Anamowski, and this is our second one in the series. What we did was, where is our moral compass for 2021? Okay, and so Peter, if you want to go ahead and start.
Well, we were talking about a bunch of different things, but let me just start off with asking you what you think the problem in the world is. What's the problem with the world? Well, what does everybody suffer from?
What I think everybody suffers from is they're totally disconnected from the divine. And so they're kind of like they're in their own kind of egoic way. It's like, it's about me, it's what I want. They're not looking at who they really are. They're not looking at what their gifts are. They've made a decision, oh, if these young kids, oh, I want to be a rock star. Well, there's other things to be. So it's like really connecting with self, with nature and that type of thing. And I think it's quite sad. And I think from my point of view, as a teacher and as a parent, we set the students up. We've cheated them because they have been very pampered, very entitled in that type of thing. And it's really sad, because the bottom line is everybody has a special gift. I see every soul is an individual divine light, okay, of the source. And each one has their gift, and it's to get to know who they really are and be able to stand up and love themselves. Everybody wants, they say the word love. I want to love, I want to get in a relationship, I want this. And yet the divorce rates and everything are so high right now. So that's what I see as the problem. Peter, what do you
think? And then let me ask you this. So let's say there was some entity from somewhere in the universe that, if that were possible, that they come here, and they show up, they knock on your door, meet you wherever. And then they ask you, what are humans? What are you going to tell them humans are? Because you said to know themselves or to be themselves. So what are humans in your description?
Well, I think a human is an energy being, okay? We live in the third dimension, okay? And so we have a body, mind, and spirit. And we all have to learn to walk, and we all have to learn to be self-sufficient. And I think that's the big thing, is because we've moved from the Aquarian age, or from the Piscean to the Aquarian. So what we're being asked to do now is to become whole beings, which means we have a brain, so balance left and right, head, heart, Hera, and masculine and feminine. So find our wholeness. Okay. Where's the wholeness? I mean, if you look at a little kid, I love to see little kids, because little kids are just real. They're honest. So all of a sudden they can be playing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I want this, or they're going to cry or whatever. And everybody is so, what's the word, masked. It's like they're brainwashed. It's like they're indoctrinated. It's like, you got to be this way. And from my point of view, Peter, is I say to people when I've done workshops, I go, I don't know why, because people go, you make me angry. And I go, I don't make you angry. I might trigger you. Okay. However, I go, we all have feelings, and I look at everything as in nature. So the cycles. So the bottom line is, if I'm happy, you're going to know it, because I'm going to be like the sun shining. Okay.
Mhm.
If something's bothering me, I'm not going to suppress it. I'm going to be maybe crying. Okay.
Mhm.
So that'll be like a rainstorm. And if I'm really pissed off about something, I'm not going to suppress it and get sick. I'm going to say it. I'm not going to
Mhm.
anybody. I'm going to take responsibility. So I'm going to be like lightning. And all I have to say is I am, upset or whatever. So I
Mhm.
think that's just it. That's for me is like, where's the authenticity? Where's the transparency? Who's are we allowing them? Are we allowing these souls to be? That's what we're looking at right now. Nobody really knows. And this pandemic shut everybody down because they
Mhm.
need to go within.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it did. Now you mentioned a couple of things there. When I asked you what humans are, you started off with energetic beings,
Right. And they got a soul.
which is very, very low on the list of things that you hear in the description of humans, right?
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. It's a more recent thing. Like, I mean, it's in archaeologically, you'll have these guys, from past times talking about us being energetic beings, but that's not taught in school. Are you kidding me? Like,
No.
are they teaching anything in school that we're electromagnetic beings? No,
No,
they're
I
not.
mean, I went against, for 20 years I taught. The divine put me in there. I had no idea I wanted to. And so I taught what I
Yeah.
wanted to. I taught the curriculum, but every one of my students knew that we were energy beings and that we were a frequency and that they had to become responsible for themselves. And they all had a divine gift. And their purpose was to share that gift with humanity.
Mhm. Well, and that's more in recent times. I'm sure, actually, probably many of your viewers in the last few years, but more specifically, it's intensified in this last year with how they're making energetic connections with people, through the ethers, through the internet, right? Like,
Right.
so we pick up information from people in various ways. We pick it up through pheromones, like how they smell. And it's not even like an overt smell. It's like a subconscious thing.
That's right.
And in fact, they've done studies with t-shirts, right? They'll take all, these brand new t-shirts and they'll give them like to half a dozen or a dozen guys and say, hey, wear this same shirt for 3 days, right? And then they come back and they put them in a bag, in a plastic bag. And then they'll bring in women to take little smells of the bag, right? And then the women are asked with the shirts, the samples in front of them, to kind of rank what they think is the best looking guy based off of the smell of a t-shirt that he's worn 3 days.
Right.
Well, you know what? Huge correlation. Like, they're getting the handsome guy. So there's other information that's contained there that is not in our conscious. This is like a physiological reaction, whether you like it or not. So that would be like pheromones. And then there's hormones, and then we communicate through our eyes, through micro expression, through big expressions, right? You can see these politicians when they're lying anyway. Like a guy doesn't need to be trained in
Right.
to work a lie detector test. You can tell in people's faces, right? So
Right.
But there's other ones, because there's good liars, right? They end up becoming like presidents of corporations. Like, they're sociopathic. Doesn't mean they're psychopathic necessarily.
No, they're sociopaths, right? And they're very
sociopath.
Yeah.
Right. So they're, so they either have no or control, or more likely they've seared their conscience in order to suppress these feelings that come out. Okay.
Right.
So when people say that the truth is inside you, they don't have any idea what they're talking about, right? Some people, the religious guys, will say, God's law is written on our hearts. But there's not a single religious guy that I've ever met and talked to that can define to me the definition of a heart. Like, we're not talking about the organ in the middle of your chest, right? That circulates the blood, regulates it, as a matter of fact. But we're talking, they don't know what the heart is. Well, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? So, it's not that. But in the heart are contained neurons that actually fire, I don't know how many hundreds of milliseconds faster than the neurons in our brain, in our cerebral cortex. So the heart is picking up information and discerning it, however it's coalescing it, whether it's through pheromones, micro expressions, body movements, because if someone's standing here like this, like they're closed off, if someone's like chilled out, whatever. So we're gathering all this information. The heart's making those decisions, those calculations, those reactions, like in microseconds. You can't help who you're attracted to. Like, try it sometime. Try and stop yourself from being attracted to someone. Like, they could walk around the corner and it just, it checks all your boxes and you're like, bing, whatever. Now, I'm talking a physiological response, like a sexual. There are soul responses.
That's
so
right.
What you said before earlier about the soul, this is the other thing. Everybody's talking, we're a soul, we're a spirit. It's in the heart. The truth is inside you, love and light. Nobody has the accurate definitions for this, right? And I think it's pissing off me, and not just me, but it's pissing off other people, because now we're hearing in the vernacular, in the words that people use on a daily basis, the same stuff over and over again. I'm on this journey and I got to look into my shadow side, and I'm resonating with that, and I'm vibrating that, and I'm in my ego self, and my mind says this and my heart says that. None of them have accurate definitions for words. Now, the soul originated or started when God breathed life into the dust of the earth and made man, and he became a living soul. So whatever God's breath is, he breathed into Adam's nostrils, the first guy, according to the story, right? And I'm not going to argue with anybody about that, because none of us actually can prove it, right? Like, how am I going to prove it?
Yeah, but you know what, Peter, that's fascinating, because I've had a near-death experience. So I've been over and come back, and I've been in dying rooms. I've set up dying rooms for people. Okay. And the bottom line is, I want you to think about it. I love that breath idea. Okay. Is the moment a child is born, sometimes they have to pat them on their bum, but they take that first breath. Okay. So that's their breath. The soul is there. And guess what? When they move over, if you've ever watched Forrest Gump and there's that feather that comes down, I can tell in a second when the soul has left.
Yeah. And again, there's Russian scientists that have videotaped this stuff, right?
That's right.
The slow-mo cameras. Like, so this stuff, like, it's out there, right? But everybody knows when someone's dead, when the spirit departs.
That's
so it's
right.
God's capital S spirit that makes us alive. Now, you can call God whatever you want, right? Like, I'm not going to get bent out of shape, right? People argue against God, and typically everyone starts out that way. Only because they see the hypocrisy of religion. So when I talk, I don't want any of your viewers thinking that I'm some religious legalist just because I quote the scriptures sometimes word for word, right? It's like, we have to get the knowledge of right and wrong somewhere. Well, that is encoded in ourselves, because every little kid, again, the first time he lies or she lies or they steal something, they know they're doing wrong.
Okay.
Right?
That's perfect, Peter, because you know what? Everything in my being is made of consciousness. And when I think of consciousness, it's like, because I've worked in a prison, and if somebody kills somebody, what is it? Sometimes they have no consciousness. Other times, okay, so it's all about conscious. You're conscious of it. Have we actually lost a lot of our consciousness of what's right and what's wrong in what we're actually doing now?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. And to stick on that energetic topic that you said, that we're like this energetic being, the pineal gland, and again, I've done very little research on it. It's
right here.
Gland,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's right there, right? It's called the third eye. Inside of it, there are little, like crystals, like little small crystals, right? Like pieces of sand, right? They're made out of quartz.
Right.
and they're piezoelectric, which means they don't have like a charge to them. But if a charge or signal comes from outside of them, it will kind of vibrate them alive and they will communicate back and forth. Now, the way you can think of that in reality is when you're on a toll road. You know, in the old days, in some toll roads, you still have to stop and pay the guy in the booth and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But now they're done electronically. They'll send you this little thing that you put on the dashboard or the window. And when you drive under that toll booth sensor, you know, it's picking up that signal, and it knows when you get off, when you get on, and when you get off, and what to charge you and stuff like that. So we have these little things in our pineal gland. Okay, piezoelectric, you know, particles. Well, what signal exactly do you think they're waiting to receive, if I may ask you?
Who's waiting to receive it?
The little things in our
Well,
pineal
they're
gland.
waiting to activate it. But
Right, but what is going to activate it? What are they waiting for in order for them to be activated? Where's that signal? What is that signal? Where is it coming from?
that signal would come from the universe.
Well, it would probably come from the maker of the universe, to be right.
Right.
Now, whether the maker of the universe made the universe to emit that signal or not, I don't know, right? Scientifically, it could be the magnetosphere, which has been measured to be able to contain all of the energy of the earth that, you know, has ever existed and ever will exist, and then still have room to fill up with information, light coded information in, you know, encoded in the thing. Well, that signal you're going to be getting is, you know, to not offend any of your viewers, is from the divine, right? It's from the divine. Now, who would not want you getting the signal from the divine? Who doesn't want that to happen?
Well, everybody does. That's what they're all saying. I mean, I know people will spend $5,000. They'll go on a weekend. It's like, yay, like they're connected with the light and whatever, and they're all hyper. They come back. There's no change in their life. Same shit, different day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that's what I'm saying. Everybody wants that. A lot of time, it takes time, Peter, because it's called burning the dross. And from my point of view, we have many lifetimes. Okay, so I do a lot of in reincarnation and that type of thing. And right now, as far as I'm concerned, this is my whole thing, is with the ages shifting, we've been asked to clean up our past lives and our ancestral lives. So everything seems to be going faster for us, okay? Because we need to clean it up to be a clear being. It's always about being a clear being, so that you can't, if you're a clear being, then you can actually focus and do what you need to do. That's my perception. And I always say it's like the 8. Okay, as above, so below. So the bottom line is the job of us, of the beings here, is to connect and align with the divine and bring that divine energy down and make it usable here in this dimension that we live in. Okay, I mean, but I know healers do. Healers, they are a conduit. That's why a good healer, because I've worked in spas, they can do like 8 washes. They go and have a shower in between, break the energy, clear their energy, and then go back, because they're just a conduit.
Right. Okay, well, I'll get back to the thing, what I think the world lacks and lacks a total understanding of. When I say the word love, I don't want anyone out there confusing love and sex or the feelings of, you know, whatever, right?
Right.
Love and that type of, you know, erotic love are very closely aligned. And I think I said in one of our interviews, they run on parallel or the same lines, you know, neurologically, right? You know, the spiritual and the sexual. So, but love, okay, let me ask you this. If I were to say everybody is heartbroken, would you answer true or false to that?
If everybody is heartbroken?
Yeah.
Well,
if every person in the world, are they heartbroken or not, is my question.
I would say they're heartbroken.
Yeah.
They're heartbroken.
And when do you think they got their hearts broken?
Well, they could have got it broken at many different times in their lives. Okay.
Yeah.
Child, it would have been trauma. It would have been an experience. It would have been something, but it's broken. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And then if you were to ask somebody what love is, they wouldn't be able to pick out what it is so much as that they would be able to pick out what it's not, right? Like people know what's unloving pretty easily, right? But loving, everybody has their own different descriptions to various extents and things like this. Now, the type of love that we need as human beings, that if source, divine energy, AKA God, right? If it's true what's written about that entity, masculine and feminine combined, eternal, light, all things good. If God really is love, and we're made in the image of God, which we would have to be, right? Because everything would have to contain a piece of God. Right?
We're a spark of him.
Yeah. Yeah. So if God is love and we're made in his image and he loves us, what's everybody worried about it? If that's true or if they believe it. And if it's not true, why worry? Like there's nothing you can do anyway. You're screwed.
Well, yeah, but I think that's basically how people are, what's their belief systems and where's their indoctrination, and there's many different things. But the bottom line is to be is to love. And from my point of view, there's only really two emotions. Either you fear or you love. And if you love, I believe if you really love, Peter, this is me, my feeling, you really love the divine and you're aligned with the divine. And so the bottom line is, yes, I can worry and I'm quite an activist politically and that type of thing. But in my heart, I know, I have a knowing that the light will always overpower the darkness. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Something I believe. That's something I believe. And I don't care what anybody says. Okay.
Right. Well, you can't have dark coexist with light. It's either light or it's dark. Now, it might be a very faint light or it might be a super bright, blinding light, but light and dark don't coexist.
No.
So, let there be light and there was light and the light shineth in darkness and the darkness comprehendeth not, like doesn't understand it, right? Like it's, there is that duality that these yin yang guys, or however they say the yin yang thing, right? The black and white, and the black's contained in the white, little piece of that. You've seen that little stuff.
Oh yeah, well that's really the Tao.
It's the Taoists, right? The Tao guys, the Tao, right?
Yeah.
So they're describing what they call the universe as vibrations and stuff. Vibrations are words, right? Vibrations are light, fast, and slow. So dense or ephemeral, whatever you like. So they describe the universe as like this energy field and stuff like this, and that there's a source and we're stuck in they only go so far as the duality, right? There's no such thing as a two-dimensional thing. Like there has to be the third dimension, 2 dimensions. Duality only exists in fantasy and theory.
Well, we have lots of dimensions. If we think that we're the only dimension, whatever, we have other dimensions, we have other galaxies, we have other things. And I think that's the great thing right now, but the intensity right now for everybody. And I think that's why this is so important. And especially on this Good Friday and with Easter. And I don't know anything about religion because my dad didn't believe in church. So our church was the farm. Okay. And so that's what he believed. And it was like how you lived your life. So you did it with honesty. You didn't hurt anybody, that type of thing. It was very, very simple, very simple. Okay. And so nowadays, everybody is just like, I think they're really, really confused. And to me, all it is it's simple. You have to connect with the divine. You have to do it. It's your job. It's just like nobody can help you walk. And when you're going to connect with the divine, you're going to connect with the divine, and that's going to be it. And you just have a knowing. Yes, there's times you're tired and this, and you see this kind of thing, and it's, oh, what the hell is going on? What's all this bullshit? And this person pisses me off, and this kind of thing. But when it comes right down to it, I think there's an inner peace. That for me is a thing that I find with the connection. Another thing is, at one time, it was really important for me, like I owned commercial buildings and whatever. And when I realized you don't take anything with you, the soul, the evolution of the soul is where it moves you into the next stage or wherever you're going to go. So for me, I've been really lucky to have great experiences. So when you say in the ethers, how do you think you and I connected? Obviously, there's an energetic link. There's an energetic link with Selma over in Arabia, with all the people. And I feel really blessed that I believe in synchronicity. I believe people will come together and they learn from each other. They share with each other. And that's, I love this new Aquarian energy that we're going into. And I think, Peter, that's so important. I got to say this right now. And then I want you to talk about the spiritual connection. From my idea, we've been always looking to somebody we got to look to our government. We've got to look to our teacher. We've got to look to our boss. We've got to look to our priest. We've got to look to everything.
Well, anyone but God, right?
Right. Right. And that's it. But you know what this is all about? What this shift is all about, and it'll come through finally in 2023, is instead of the hierarchical, okay, where we're going, the professor, this, that, whatever. No, it's none of that. It's like there's only one connection, and that's with the divine, whatever you call it, Buddha, God, divine, whatever, that you totally connect. There's nobody in between. And once you connect with that, then you connect with all the other like souls, like I've connected with you, and I work with the people in New York, and we connect together. And what we're doing is we're here to share. We're here to assist other souls, and we assist each other, okay, in our learning. And that to me is what love is all about. Okay.
Well, yeah, it is, right? So now, if people operated on the basis of knowing what's the right thing to do versus the wrong thing to do, it's going to clear up a lot of problems in the world, right?
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like a guy that's trying to merge on the highway, and he's running out of the merge lamp because he's driving 20 kilometers too slowly. It's not the right thing to do to speed up to block this guy, right? Because you want to get 20 feet closer to work, to a job that you friggin' hate that you go to every day, but you do it because you never thought about anything before in your life. I mean, that's how they lock the whole world down. People don't know love, where it comes from. They don't love themselves. They can't love their neighbor. And they're doing unloving things to their own self and making like it's okay. Well, how is it okay to have corporations and, you know, governments or corporations rob people blind? Like, how's that right? So now they feed in and are consumed by that system. Think of what they're doing. Like, they'll wake up early in the morning, not rested well enough, not looking forward to going to work, not looking forward to getting stuck in traffic when they got to go to the can, you know, really bad or whatever. And then dealing with whatever nonsense there are at work, get back in the friggin' car, make your way through traffic that's killing you, right? Like people that are exposed to carbon monoxide, they have harder incidents of heart attacks, right? This is proven. You know, and go home, you know, to whatever. If they had a bad day, kick the dog in the ass, you know, or yell at the kids or whatever. You know, and you know, and it's both, right? If you're married, so they do both. And why are they doing this? They're paying for the mortgage for a place to live.
Right.
And then they're doing it still because they need a vehicle to get to work to pay the place that they live. That 8 hours a day they're unconscious, they're laying on their back, they could be sleeping anywhere, a tent for that matter, while they're asleep. So 8 hours of 24 are gone. another 8 hours of work minimum are gone. And like, I think people are working way more than 8 hours now. So, so now we're down to, what was that? 8 hours left. So you got an hour on your way to work, hour back, you're down to 14, like there's no time to enjoy themselves because they're busy doing stuff they don't like to buy, like we pay to live. We're the only organisms on earth that pay to live, to be able to be alive.
But you know what I don't understand, Peter? I'm going to be 74 in January. I have worked since I've been 13 years old. And you know what? I feel I've had such a blessed life.
Yeah.
I did double jobs because I was a single mom. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd work through the day, work at night, never complained. Okay. And it's really funny because I met a man a few years ago and he said, my life was like Groundhog Day. I went, what's that? I had never heard of Groundhog Day. And it was like, he was worth a lot of money. And he just went, well, I did a lot of stuff and I made money. And I went, well, that's really quite sad that you didn't enjoy it. Because me, I've had to do housework. I've had to do this. I've been a teacher. I've owned my own business. I've lived all over.
Yeah, it's exciting. Like you wake up, you're excited to do stuff.
I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. And has it been easy? No, but I've had such a diverse background because I'm engaged in life. Why do I want to sit and whine? And I can remember women when I lived up in the Northwest Territories. I had a business. I was in my 20s. I was 23 and had my first business up there. And they'd always want to come and have coffee with me. And I thought, well, why do I want to have coffee with them? They don't have anything to really talk about. Like they're not engaged in life. Did they think I was going to entertain them? Okay. And I would actually say, I don't have time. My house is important. My children, I belong to the chamber. I had my menu planned for a month. I loved it, Peter. I mean, I'd get up at 5 a.m. and make my overnight buns and whatever. I love life. I'm engaged in life. Okay.
Well, and I'll tell you why. So you have engagement, which when you distill engagement down, what does it mean to be engaged?
I'm in sync.
Yeah, you're in the moment. You're paying attention. Okay?
Yeah, I'm there.
Now you're in the moment. So if you're engaged in something, you're not worried about, retirement. You're not worried about the dumb thing you said, whatever, at Easter, like many of you are going to say in here this weekend. So you're engaged. You're paying attention, right? So now you're paying attention. Can you love someone that you never paid attention to?
Well, no, because you have to give them attention.
Right. So you can't love someone you never paid attention to. So engagement, attention is the precursor to love, right? And the feeling of love, right? Like it just, feels different. You know it when you feel it. So now after love comes happy. And then you have the ascendancy of different levels, right? Joy, gratitude, on and on and on, whatever, right? So now I lost my train of thought where I was going.
We're talking about the different stages of love, but I think a lot of people are in relationships and they're not in relationships because of love. They're in relationship because they're beholden to somebody. A lot of times they don't want to work. They want somebody to take care of them. Okay, because they are fearful that they can't take care of themselves because they haven't found that wholeness, okay, that they can do it. They haven't found something that makes them pumped. They get excited about life type of thing, okay? So they're not happy. Then the grass is always greener. There's a grass is greener syndrome. And then it's like, I want more. Hungry eyes, I call it. They want more. So they want more food. They want more booze. They want more clothes. They want more this. They want more that. For what?
Mm-hmm.
For what? I mean,
I'll tell you exactly for what. So if God is love,
yeah,
so that's the origin and the source of it.
That's the
what type of love would it be? What type of love would it be? Would it be based on I love you if your IQ's X number, or I love you if you're like whatever, like take your pick. God's love would have to be by definition the purest love, the unconditional love for no reason. Okay.
Yeah, I just love.
All right.
But the
That's
bottom,
unconditional love. Like it's not, put up with a dude smacking you around the kitchen every
Right.
night, right? So now he's unconditional love. When babies are born, are they getting unconditional love?
well, I would hope so. I don't know, because I don't know where is that mother?
Well, you mentioned before about, the first gasp for breath in life. Okay.
Right.
Do you know why everybody knows that? Is because everyone's heard the story, when they take the kid out, they smack him on his ass, they flip him upside, and then he starts gasping for air and stuff.
Right.
Like that, right. So they assault the kid within seconds of being born, right? Like
Right.
getting a smack on the back is assault. Okay.
Right.
So they smack him on the ass. They gasp for breath. Why are they gasping for breath? Well, I'll tell you why. It's the first time in their 9-month life that they're breathing a corrosive gas called oxygen. You know what I'm saying? Because prior to then, they were ensconced inside the womb, right?
Right.
In the amniotic fluid. They
Right.
were breathing water, basically. Like, their lungs were still exchanging the gases.
But
They weren't breathing air, the gas. There's no gases, I don't think, in the abdomen, right? When the baby's being formed, right? Like, no, not that they're breathing. They're getting these nutrients from the blood supply that's oxygenated by the mother, right? Now, it's a different blood supply, whatever. There's still something going on with the placenta. I haven't checked it out what it is. But they're still attached by the umbilical cord, which they can't wait to cut off within minutes of coming out. And I mean, it happens to be that the umbilical cord is filled with nutrients of, antibodies and richness. And, it's like the best, purest you're ever going to be. You're fresh. You're brand new. You just came out of the box, right? So
Right.
it's still squeezing these nutrients into you. I mean, I think some cultures leave the placenta attached, like the umbilical cord attached, for up to 3 days or something, right?
I don't know, but I am going.
Yeah. But there's lots of goodness and humanness and everything in that blood. So they clamp that off. That's why the kid's gasping for air. They just, the kid comes out, you got a nurse clamping the umbilical cord, you got the other dude like flipping him upside down, smacking him on the ass. And then when they flip him back right side up, they put all that stingy stuff in their eyes that now they can't make eye contact and bond with their mother in the most important time of their life ever, when they came out, right?
I know, but Peter,
They're not getting unconditional love based just on the birth process. And then when they get a little older, if they're colicky and sleeping through the night, why don't you ask parents that haven't got a wink of sleep in days, how unconditionally loving they are, with their newborn baby as they're rolling their eyes.
But that Peter, is part of their journey. That is part of that's part of their incarnation. They chose their mother and father, they chose this life and whatever, and they'll get over it. It's just like when a kid learns to walk, they're going to fall, they're going to crack their head, they're going to do something, and they're going to do it, but they're going to get up and they're going to do it. So they have that breath and they have that, I can do it. I can do it. I'm going to love myself. What's my worth? What's my value? That's the thing.
Hold on. What did you just say? You're going to love yourself?
Love myself.
Okay, well, how are you going to do that now,
Samantha? I'm going to accept myself. I'm going to accept myself that,
But you still know you're bad.
Why do I know I'm bad?
Well, this is what I'm saying. You're being programmed and conditioned to think you're bad. But we all know, like, I'm not putting down 1 cent if you haven't been bad in your life, right? So.
Well, no, but I mean, everything it's a perception of what bad is. Just because I'm outspoken and kind of do what I want.
No. I'm just saying how it is, right? So.
But I'm saying, I think that's the issue, is that kids, well, you're the one that even said people are going on the highway and they're cutting people off. I watch people, I'm very aware. So I had a leg and I had to walk with a cane for a bit. And I went to go in the store and this woman and her kid come running ahead of me. And it was just like they couldn't wait to get in. And I just stood there. And there was a man behind that stood and watched the entire thing and just shook his head. No consciousness, no awareness, totally egotistic. It's all about me. That's this narcissism that we're living in. Okay.
Well, but here's the thing, Sandra. You're coming from a day and age where if a stranger saw kids behaving rudely in front of someone that was walking with, with a cane and stuff like that, they'd say something to the kid up to the point of giving them a little swat across the head. Like, hey, what are you thinking, man? You know what I mean? Right. So I'm not saying that that's right, but they know when's right. Like they would be like, man, look at that behavior. Well, now when you have the president of America, the new fake president, by the way, that everybody knows that he cheated. And anyway, this guy, he's now complaining publicly. One of his quotes was like, it's not right to call someone who lied a liar.
Well, this is this whole cancer culture, and you can't call a mom or a dad, and you can't say after a prayer, you got to say amen and a woman. Everybody's crazy right now, and they're crazy, and I will say that, and I will defy them. I don't want anything to do with anybody. I've said it on my Facebook. Stay away from me. I'm very strong. I am very in touch with the divine. I know my purpose here, Peter, and I'm happy, and I'm doing my thing every day, and I want to help people. And the biggest thing I can say, I think, is that so God gave his son. And if we get back to Good Friday, and if we get back to what Easter is about, it's not about colored eggs. It's not about the bunny. I know. I really think it's about how can we get in touch with the divine. And once we're in touch with the divine, we will love ourselves and we will take care of ourselves. What's the hardest thing I think for anybody to do is self-care. And I think one of the strongest programs has been the 12-step program for AA and for narcotics and that type of thing. And what's the very, very first step? The very first step is I have no control. I give it to they call it a higher power. And then there's serenity prayer is the same thing. Okay. It's like, so I think it's so simple. It's very, very simple. Love is simple. Is it easy? No, because everybody has their perception and they want to intellectualize it and whatever. It's like either you feel good or you don't feel good in the presence of. And what are you doing to yourself? Either you're feeling good with yourself or you're not feeling good with yourself. Okay. And I'm not saying that this self-love, oh, I'm perfect, I'm good, this narcissistic thing. No, it's a humility. Look at your.
Well, everybody needs to love themselves, but here's the thing. You're just going to be like a dog chasing your tail if you don't know what love is and that God is love. Like it's just, do what you want, right? Like do what you want. Like it's a free world. Well, it's not a free world. That's a different topic. But you can do what you want. But this is imperative, right? Because how are you going to love God first or your neighbor if you don't love yourself truly?
Right.
And people who put masks on their face, it's not possible for them to love themselves when they're blocking out the very thing that's keeping them alive, right?
That's right.
Right? So right there, you can tell this guy doesn't love himself. Otherwise, he'd be gulping the freshest air every chance he got, right?
Right.
Right. And then you have another subset of people where they're going to go to doctors and pharmacists and take substances into them that are known to be proven toxins and poisons. And I know this because all you have to do is watch any 30-second commercial, and 8 minutes of that 30 seconds will be warnings about the friggin' side effects, up to and including death. Like, if you listen to these things, you're like going, like, how does this come on every 15 minutes? Like, I think like once you watch this, you'd be like, whatever this is and whatever this product is for, if it's going to make me vomit and have diarrhea and possibly friggin' die, I shouldn't be taking that. Like, how is it possible now to take something that has all those warnings? They're not side effects, they're direct effects. They should be really truthful in their marketing and what they're saying. So the direct effects of taking these pharmaceuticals up to and including injections, they think this is somehow going to help them with their health.
So Peter, so that's just
like, how that's not loving to yourself.
but
right?
that's, they're not aware and they're not mindful. There's not an awareness and a mindfulness. And you know, when I guess when I got it, and for me, it's really hard to explain. I was living in Hawaii. I've had lots of different, I've had near death and all kinds of different special
yeah.
experiences. But I had this dream. And in the dream, I think I told you about it already, but it's very important now. It was a piece of wood about this big here, about that thick. It was all mitered. It was oak, and it had.
Hold on a sec. You're not secretly telling us in veiled form about your sex toys, are you?
Oh, no. So this is a dream. So this is this piece of wood and everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, I get up in the morning and I can picture it right now. It was all mitered. My dad was a carpenter, so it was like beautiful. And when I turned it over and it had a plug in and I couldn't figure it out. I got up the next morning and I was like obsessed. Like, what was that show where the guy was with the mashed potatoes and having to do something? And
that was Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That's all. And I was obsessed. You know, I got up where we were living and I said, Gordy, you have to help me. We got to get this good. We got to build this. I got to understand it. It just went on and on. And then I got up and all of a sudden I got it. It was like, oh my God, of course. And what it was for me is that we have different frequencies. And God, this is going back to the 80s, different frequencies, okay? So there would be like, the one would be maybe a 40-watt light bulb, a 60, 100, and a spot.
Mhm.
And I turned it over, it was plugged into the divine. Now that doesn't mean anyone is better. We're just different. Okay.
Right.
It would be like a kindergarten compared to, and I can't compare it to somebody with a PhD, because sometimes a man on the street or an 8-year-old is wiser now. So it has nothing to do with age or whatever. It has to do with the frequency. And I can remember a Buzz Myers, an astrologer, one of my teachers that was up in Edmonton, because I've had many teachers, and he made us all stand. He looked at it.
What was his name? Buzz
Myers. He's
Buzz.
for right now.
Yeah,
But-
that's a cool handle.
Yeah, so he would put us in different, it was at the Edmonton Inn. So the new moons, the full moons, the disseminating. And you know what he said? And you disseminating, shut the F up. You leave those new moons alone. They're babies. He said,
Yeah.
in kindergarten, they're learning. So, you know, a lot of times I look and that's how I sense people. So rather than saying, where's their critical thinking skills? Where's their cognition? Where is their reasoning? But I think that was the power of education, which I don't think education has done its job. Okay.
Well, what was education's original purpose? Like, what was the reason for schools hundreds of years ago? What would it have been?
I'm not sure. I know.
If you're living in Little House on the Prairie times, and you actually did, sort of.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of going to school? Like, what are you sending your kid to school miles away for and stuff like that?
So that they can learn to read, write, and whatever. But I do.
But learn to read what? Like a couple hundred years ago, what are these kids reading?
Well, there was-
1,000 years ago, what are they reading?
There was books.
Well, again, but very few, a very select few. But modern day education, the original purpose of it is to go to school to learn how to read, and do arithmetic and all that kind of stuff, but to learn how to read. The document that they were being taught, the reason to read was the Bible.
Oh, really?
Because that's where the knowledge of right and wrong comes. Right in the Bible, it says, this book will make you smarter than all your teachers.
Oh, so that, well,
Right?
basically that's the 10 Commandments.
Why do you think they want to suppress it? It keeps everyone stupefied. Dumb people, afraid people are easy to control. Polluted people, we bathe and drink fluorinated water plus all these other toxic chemicals in our food and air and everything else. And that's what plugs up our ability to connect with source and each other and stuff. When you vibrate on the frequency of love and someone is vibrating on that same frequency, you know, that's where the term words are not enough comes from, okay?
Yeah, there are,
Right?
sometimes there
That
are no
feeling,
words.
that feeling. So
There-
when you connect on that feeling, you don't even need to talk.
Right, because it's
That's
just,
that's the connection that not only should everybody want with the divine, they should want that not for the love of their life like friggin' Hollywood. They should want that with every single person on earth.
right.
And there goes murder, there goes lying, there goes cheating, stealing, whatever, all this nonsense.
But that's what
that's
we're
why they
moving
want to
into,
suppress
Peter.
God.
That's what we're moving into. But
That's why they want to suppress God.
okay, so the love then is really about loving yourself, taking care of yourself, having your own sovereignty, having your own boundaries. Don't
Yeah.
anybody to push you around, to be mean to you, like very common sense. And take care of yourself. Okay.
Well, before, when you mentioned about, when I asked you about how you love yourself and you started to say stuff, I started to think certain things, you know, the same question I ask anyone, I ask myself as well, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, how would you love yourself? And, you know, as I asked you, I immediately started to think about
Yeah.
it. And it's like, you know, so if you're sitting around, you know, at a boring Easter dinner, you know, this weekend or Passover or whatever, and you start thinking about the top of all things, right? Like the best of the best in whatever attribute, right? You know, and just focus on that and trying to be that and picture that, because the Holy Scriptures say, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, I know it sounds like Shakespeare talk to most of you, but that thinketh on the end doesn't just pluralize it. Thinketh, ETH, as a man thinketh, that encompasses past, as a man thinks, you know, thought, as a man thought,
Right.
as a man is thinking right now, thinketh, and as a man thinketh, as he's going to be thinking. So it encompasses past, present, and future in a singular word. So as a man thinketh, right, before, now, and in the future, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if your mind's full of crap and nonsense and your filter's plugged and your antenna's plugged and your transmitter's plugged, that's hard to do. But if you focus on the things that are the best to do of all things, correct? Is it right to be grateful? Yeah. So be as grateful as you can, right? Is it right to be, you know, whatever, like just choose the best in every choice that you have. And that would be a start to do that. And then think on those thoughts, because that's what's going to elevate you and your frequency and all this other stuff. Okay.
Right.
That's at least a start, right? I'm not trying to jam religion, because I should have said in the beginning, when I speak about God, I'm not talking about any religion. Because if I asked you right now to pick a religion, which one's the best, you couldn't point to one because none of them work.
I say I'm
Yeah.
spiritual, but
Right.
it's interesting when you say that, as a man thinketh. Okay, for me, the big thing is to know thyself. Okay, if we go back to the old philosophers, Pythagoras and Plato and them, and that's with my astrology and the book Game Changer and all the books I've done.
Yeah.
Is to know thyself. And then the second part of that is to thine own self be true. So that's
Right.
so be true to yourself. So it's not lying or whatever, being good to yourself. And all I used to always say, Peter, when I would do my things at the end, we build karma. People talk about this karma. They think, well, karma is like maybe next year, maybe next lifetime, whatever. Every moment and every day we build karma. And I always say at the end of the day, I can look at myself in the mirror. Did I take from the world today, or did I give? And was it of benefit to all involved? To me, I'm really a simple person. My dad was a carpenter. That's
Yeah.
came from. It was just like, it's kind of the law of the land. Okay. You have to take care of the land.
So your dad was a carpenter. Well,
Yeah.
guess who else's dad was a carpenter? The same guy that exposed religion, that all the religious people are still going to be, doing their celebrations this weekend. He exposed religion, right? So religion and God are not the same. They're not the same.
No.
Right.
To me,
but it was the same guy, Jesus Christ, that everybody's going to be having the Easter dinner for, whether they believe in him or not, whether he was real or not, is the same guy that said, perfect love casteth out fear, right?
what did I say?
Which you said before, you were bang on. You know what? I mean, you've said a lot of things that I didn't get a chance to comment on, that you were exactly right, that I could have explained. But when you ask somebody, and I've asked lots of people, what the opposite of love is, most people say hate, right? Yeah. And again, you can't hate somebody that you didn't at least like for a little bit or somehow, right. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't hate people that never popped up on your radar because you never paid attention to them to love them to begin with, right? They're just blanks in your background scenery, right? So hate is just a misshapen form of love that somehow went bad. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's what hate is. So fear is the opposite of love. But where does fear come from?
Fear comes when you don't have faith.
No, fear comes from when you don't know about something. Can you be afraid of something you know everything about?
No, but why? But I have to say this right now. There's so many people fearful about what's happening in the world, and I'm not fearful because I'm not going to let somebody control me. Okay.
Well, do you know why? They have like no sovereignty of being, which you mentioned.
Right.
Very little boundaries of any kind. I mean, I'm just learning about that kind of stuff, but people are a little bit touchy, to be truthful, but whatever.
I don't care if they are.
Right? Yeah, but whatever, right? It's like, let them do their own thing. But, you do your thing, but please stop telling me what the frig to do with my thing, right? So you got all the guys that are staying safe and staying home, that are lining up for poisons, that are covering up the very thing that keep them alive. They now are telling you to do the right thing and wear a mask for their health while they're eating cheeseburgers, drinking Diet Coke and vodka. You know what I mean? And who knows what else, right? So, anyway, whatever, right? It's ridiculous. But you cannot be afraid of something you know everything about, right? That's why perfect love casteth out fear. Like, if we had to do something for God to love us, well, there's not enough time, right? Because like, how do you attain that perfection, right? So either God loves us or he doesn't. We're miraculous, and he's going to make us just to destroy us.
No, we're divine beings. We need to take
so we need to act like it. You know what I'm saying? So now everybody's being mind controlled since the beginning by the opposer of God, right? Which is the devil, right? And and everything's being turned upside down on its head, right? So that now people are afraid to help someone out in the street in case something goes wrong while they're helping them, so they don't get sued, and lose their house, right?
But something that bothers me, Peter, and it takes me back to the world wars and to Nazi Germany and that type of thing, is how people will turn on their neighbors. Okay, it's like they'll turn on their neighbors, or they're going to be mean, and it's about control. I mean, I was in Safeway and this woman was really mean to me. I won't say what she said, and I certainly won't tell you what I said to her. But with my energy, I just went boom. Okay, it's just like, so when did you become the mask? Like, where's your, what right do you have to tell me what to do?
Yeah, but this is really with anything.
Because they can't control their own lives, so they want to control somebody else's life.
Right.
thing. It's about control. And I say to people, look in the mirror and have self-mastery, have self-actualization, okay? And take care of yourself. Don't worry because they say I'm not a good person because I'm not a vegan. It's none of your business what I eat. I'm fine. I'm not overweight. Okay, I'm doing my thing. I don't tell anybody what to eat or do because I'm detached. And when I say I don't care, I actually mean that in a discernment and detachment point of view, because it's none of my business.
Well, okay, here's the thing, right?
As long as it doesn't affect me.
Well, no, a lot of people say they don't care, but here's what I think to be,
Okay.
and more than likely correct, is the ones that don't say they don't care, they're the ones that care the most, actually. If you were to take the time and dig down deep to it, right? Like if you really didn't care, like nothing's coming on your radar. But the people that get to the point to say I don't care, they really deep down inside, they care the most. They care the most, right? But these other people now that are living these lives that I described before, and that's the real Groundhog Day, waking up every day, doing the same thing and expecting different results, right? Going to work, doing something you don't like. So these people now that never had a voice, they were never noticed. So if you're not noticed, you're not, no one's paying attention to a regular cashier. Like they don't even make eye contact anymore. You know what I mean? There's no conversation, this and that.
Right.
And then now all of a sudden, these unheard voices that hate their lives and don't love themselves, they got a bit of a false sense of authority and voice now.
Right.
So they're kind of taking it upon themselves because in their mind somewhere, they're like this hero that's helping save the world, right? Like they think they're doing the right thing by saving the world from a disease that barely kills anyone, right? Like, I mean, honestly, look at those numbers, right? So
I know, if you look at the numbers.
So the whole world's upside down. So, I mean, you give a fuck, but pay attention to these people. I used to have customers show up like that. I remember one, she was an older woman when I was much younger, and she was a widow, and she burns into the lot one day, and she's all, huffy and puffy and this and that, and I listened to her and before I'd be like, boom, I wouldn't put up with any crap from anyone, right? But I listened to her because I was changing at that time. Like I started to think of something, this is 20 years or so ago. And when she finished, I looked at her, I said, Mrs. Pino, I said, what's this really about? Right? And she kind of stopped and she looked and she was like, it's just everywhere I go. It's like, people don't see me. They're not paying attention. They're whatever. Right. And, I helped her out, do her thing. And then she thanked me and we hugged and she was crying a little bit. Right. And I was teary eyed as well. But why was I saying that now about people getting bent out of shape or whatever? Yeah, I know. So next time you're there and you have some person going there, just ask them why. Like I put on my post a couple of days ago, there was some guy in America. He spent like 12 minutes talking to the manager of Trader Joe's, right? This guy shops there all the time and he can't wear a mask, but this guy called the corporate lawyers of Trader Joe to find out what was going on, right? So, and he tells all this to the guy straightforward, but you can see the guy's panicked. He's like a deer in the headlights. He's breathing heavy. It's adversarial and all this stuff.
Right.
He's like, listen, man, like, just let me do my thing and go on my own way. But like, I asked you, why you think that? Why? Now, again, I'm saying this as a guy that had the Dutch military police called on him last summer, on a transatlantic flight, for not wearing my mask properly. And I didn't even have a nostril showing. And ironically enough, my business, I wore a mask every day for most of the day, right? So you had, people that never wore a mask before trying to tell a guy who wore one every day for 30
how to
years,
do it,
right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny, right? And I said, yeah, call the cops and all that kind of stuff. So I know people or whatever, they ended up calling them off because I went back to the head stewardess guy that wanted me to sign all kinds of documents, incriminating myself with their guidelines. And I said, listen, dude, I know you got a mortgage to pay and who knows how many dependents, and you're not working much. And everybody's afraid to die. This has nothing to do with you, man. Like I said, you guys couldn't explain it. I can't breathe. I'm not about to die on a friggin' flight in my sleep, because I fell asleep with a friggin' mask watching a movie on KLM flight. You know what I mean? So I said, this has nothing to do with you. All I want to know is, am I getting off the plane first to meet the cops, or am I getting off the plane last? That's it, right? And a few hours later, he called them off. And thankfully, a couple weeks later, I saw these same Dutch, military police knocking grandma's coconuts heads with their batons in the street for not wearing masks. It was ridiculous, right?
It's crazy. Anyway,
but pay attention to them. These people need love, and it's hard because they're the same people that are lining up to rat you out, like informants. If stuff gets worse, right?
That's just it. But I think what we want to do is, I really hope that everyone got something out of this. And I want to kind of finish it now, because I would like them to watch it sometime over this weekend, because there's a special energy that comes around on Good Friday and Easter and that type of thing. It's that energetic thing. We're moving into this new month, and I want to do some stuff about it. And I really appreciate it, Peter. And it is all about love.
Well, it is. And here's the thing. So now, everyone now is celebrating Easter that's associated with Jesus.
Right.
And the reason that he died, according to the story, was for the sins of the world, to pay the penalty for the sins of the world. Okay. So that if I have to go to death row, either I'm going or I need to get someone else to substitute for me. Right. So if someone's got to die and you want to step in, you want to be crazy enough to step in for me, and that's good with the judge, I'm off scot-free. I still committed the crime. I'm still guilty. But once you're dead, I'm waived of all that, right? Because the blood sacrifice penalty is being paid, right? By you or someone else that steps in. What Jesus Christ basically did was substitute himself for us, okay? Because if we're to appear between a holy, pure, everlasting, good, true, energetic, white light source called God, unless we match his vibration, we'll be vibrated away. So the vibration that vibrates us away is that sin, that dirt, that lump on whatever it is, the stain. It doesn't match the frequency. So just like light and dark can't coexist,
right?
Purity and sin can't coexist. So we have to be in that image in order to be in his presence and to have met the qualifications that none of us can actually meet the qualifications, right? But Jesus had the currency to pay for it, which was his own blood. So he also said that greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
Right.
And that's exactly what he did. He died so we don't have to answer to God.
Yeah,
and he said it's finished. And he said it's finished. And then later it's by grace, right? Are you saved, and not by works, lest anyone should boast. So it's not being religion. Why do Muslims go 5 times on a Friday to the mosque to pray? That's a religion. Like you can go, 5 times a second. It's not going to help you, dude. God still knows you're a sinner. So stop feeling guilty. Like either he loves you and either your sins have been forgiven by his only begotten son, whether you believe in him or not, and again, it says in there, like you don't necessarily have to believe it. But if that's true, then it's finished, just like he said. And if it's not finished, just like he said, then he's a liar. Well, if he's a liar, then he can't be the only begotten son of God and pay for your sins, right? That currency now falls substandard for payment to God, okay? It's not worthy. God, love is so crazy, and God loved us so crazily that he would give his only begotten son that came forth from him to die for us even though everybody knew, including his own enemies, he never did anything wrong.
But the bottom line is, it's not, the death is not really final. That's another thing, is death is just a movement, because the soul never does die. It is just
Right.
transmuted because it's energy. And I think this is perfect to kind of end with, is just like, everybody, I hope that you have something for it. And from my point of view, I just want to say is every night, look in the mirror and be mindful, be aware, be your own observer, be your own witness, and rather than react, respond, okay? And are you doing the best? And for me, it's always, is it to the benefit of all involved? Okay, and that's why in here, that's why I always look at from a business point of view, I say, in a relationship, what's the ROI? What's the return on the investment? Okay, because if we value ourselves, Peter, and if we love ourselves and we have our value and our worth, we're going to want the best for ourselves to have with that same kind of partner, and to be able to have children like that too. So from my point of view, I want to wish everybody a really happy Easter and a great Good Friday, and whatever you believe in it, believe in yourself, because you're the divine being of the spark, the source of whoever they believe in. That's all I know.
Well, all I'm going to say, I guess, is God is love, which I said before. He loves you. And it's crazy. It's crazy that he would, but I'm thankful.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing. It's like, find your joy, find your peace, be grateful, especially during these times. And for me, it's just all about connecting and aligning with, I call it the divine. Okay, and that's where my knowings come from. Thank you, Peter. You have a wonderful
Thanks, Sandra.
Easter, and I'm just going to wait. I got to figure out how to do this now. And everybody, thank you so much. Put your comments in and stop.